Thanks for joining us at the Clive Barker Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to the imagination of Clive Barker. In episode 294, Deep Talk, Ryan and Jose discuss Clive Barker's upcoming anthology news, an unearthed video of Clive Barker and Allen Ginsberg's Deep Talk. Thanks to Phil and Sarah for sharing this. And we discuss an article interview with the new Candyman director, Nia DaCosta. All this plus some Nightbreed discussion and how you can get involved in our 300th episode. This episode is sponsored by Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination. Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination shop is dedicated to benefiting the arts and medicine program at Texas Children's Cancer Center. Up to 50% of the proceeds will support the program where artist Don Bertram volunteers monthly. Don Bertram is a longtime friend of Clive and celebrates and continues to be inspired by his art. He uses that inspiration to help kids through the Texas Children's Cancer Center, and we couldn't be more thrilled to continue to work with him. There's a news feature video that shows Don working with the kids at Texas Children's Cancer Center and his artwork. Check out the side banner at clivebarkercast.com to find links to videos and his Etsy shop where you can buy his prints, books, and support this wonderful program. Check out his newest painting, The Climb, shared on our Facebook page, or find it on his Etsy shop. Welcome, this is the Clive Barker Podcast, episode 294, and this one is a news episode. Good morning, Jose.
Hey, good morning, Ryan. How are you doing today?
Good. Yeah, it's been pretty good. We haven't had a news episode in a while.
Yeah, it's been a little quiet, but there's always a little stuff here and there that manages to resurface. And in terms of movies like Candyman and stuff, we're still unsure of what's going on with this situation with the movie theaters and stuff. So, yeah, but there's some stuff to talk about. I guess we'll get to that.
Yeah. Well, and so in news from the Reef, I guess in terms of movie releases, we had one quick teaser from Mick Garris in his Postmortem with Mick Garris podcast, episode 108. It's an Ask Mick Anything episode, and if you listen to those, every other episode is an Ask Mick Anything, so look for the 108 one. And at the very end, he sort of teases that he's doing an anthology series with Clive Barker. So it's one of the last things that he says in the whole podcast is that. So interesting. I mean, I think it'll be great. I liked Valerie on the Stairs was awesome.
Yeah,
and,
from Masters of Horror.
Yeah, and I liked Heichel's Tale. I read the short story before I saw the
sure
Masters of Horror one, and then he did, of course, Quicksilver Highway for Clive Barker and Stephen King. Yeah.
And they go back a long way. I mean, Sleepwalkers, Mick Garris was there on set, and Clive Barker and Stephen King and some other writers and directors there. So they have put a treatment together for this new anthology thing. And they also came up with a philosophical point of view on how to do it. So that's fairly fascinating. I wonder if it's going to be an original thing, if it's going to be based on anything that we already know about, like Books of Blood, because Hulu had the Books of Blood, right? So I don't think it would be anything related to that.
And that was originally going to be an anthology series until it later became a movie. So, yeah, I mean, it's... can't wait. I want to, gives us something to watch and something to talk about, and I'm excited to see it.
I'm pretty thrilled. Maybe at some point, as this progresses, and if they manage to find producers to back this anthology and a platform to put it on, maybe we can get Mick Garris to be on the show. That would be terrific.
That would be awesome. Yeah, Mick Garris, if you're listening, I hope you're amenable to that. I realize probably right now, like you said, later would be probably be better, because probably right now I imagine he's probably said all he can say about it.
But I think maybe this is at the stages where it's a couple of phone calls and a Word document, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly. But in the future, when there's press releases and stuff, we would love to have Mick Garris come on. We've talked about his work with Clive a lot. So,
oh yeah,
and I subscribe to the podcast.
There you go. Yeah, subscribe to Postmortem with Mick Garris.
Yeah,
it's a good show.
And this one is interesting. This is a kind of an old story that's resurfaced, and it's too bad that the timing on this, but the Light, Wisdom, and Sound art installation. So originally we talked about it when Phil and Sarah had uncovered or rediscovered that gigantic canvas from Light, Wisdom, and Sound. They made a little post about it. And then
yes, at the Clive Barker archive.
And then you did a deep dive and made a blog post about it for our website, and we discovered that Nina Arlene, our friend who's been on the podcast, was there at that art installation.
Yeah, at the opening. Yeah, that was awesome. And so recently, when I did that blog post, I had put like some videos of the reading of the Heart Sutra by Allen Ginsberg and some videos that had surfaced from that particular event at Light, Wisdom, and Sound nightclub in New York City. And recently, Jill Abrams, who I think was one of the people who were there, an artist or a photographer or a videographer or something, I think one of the videos that I posted in our blog post originally was from her. She also has this other video that recently was uploaded to her YouTube channel on February 15 of this year, and so basically just a couple of weeks ago. And it's an interview with Clive Barker and Allen Ginsberg. So they're basically talking to each other in front of the painting. And there's also the beautiful moment where they unveil Light, Wisdom, and Sound to the club audience. Which,
it looks like a professionally edited video, that maybe was made for a news, or I'm not sure what, but it was amazing.
Yeah, underground stuff, Yeah.
Yeah, and she called it Deep Talk.
Right. Deep Talk 1993. It was filmed on June 16 of 1993, and Clive Barker is introduced by one of the MCs at the club, and he jumps on stage and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to do a comedy strip." Everybody's like, "Woohoo!"
Yeah.
And then he talks a little bit about unveiling the painting, and he says, "It's over there, and it's like it's wrapped in brown paper, and you know what they say about brown paper packages." And everybody's like, "Ha ha ha!"
Yeah.
I was like, "Are you going to set it on fire?"
Yeah.
But so then a couple of dancers, a trio of dancers, like two ladies wearing like plastic latex like underwear, and a guy wearing leather shorts and whatever. So they come over and they rip the paper and they unveil the painting, and then the music starts boom, 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 and it's a fun moment. Everybody's going like woohoo!
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Clive and Allen Ginsberg having a deep talk in front of the painting, and they're just talking about what it means and God, Buddhism. It's a really awesome video. It's just like it's a little under 9 minutes, but it's a really cool piece of video that was uploaded this month.
And they talk about the difference between culture and counterculture, and counterculture of the 60s versus counterculture of today, which would have been the early 90s.
Yeah. So really fantastic stuff by Jill Abrams. So thank you so much for putting this up on YouTube. And we're going to have the little link on the show notes so you guys can go check it out. And Ed and Nina, if you're listening to this, I'm going to send it to you by message as well so you guys can watch this. Because, Nina, you were there.
Yeah.
It's great when old stuff like this resurfaces and you get to experience what it was like to be there a little bit. That's one of the magic things about YouTube.
And then you had just, as a kind of a more late-breaking thing, you had added a Variety article, 10 directors to watch, and they put Nia DaCosta remakes Candyman for Jordan Peele.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty exciting from Variety, yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't read this one yet, but it's kind of neat to see Nia DaCosta talked about as an up-and-coming director. And honestly, I'm getting a little tired of all the criticism for Candyman where people say, "Oh, I don't like Jordan Peele and how he directs." It's like, he's not that. It's Nia DaCosta as the director.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's I think it comes from the confusion that people say Jordan Peele's Candyman. So they probably think, oh, yeah, it's Jordan Peele. But no, it's Nia DaCosta. You know, she's an awesome director.
Yeah.
And Variety made a little spotlight on her as one of the 10 directors to watch. And it says here, the new version expands on the mythology of the Candyman, a black man tortured and murdered for loving a white woman, and further explores the violence brought upon people of color. Pushed from last year due to the pandemic, it's now slated for an August release. Yeah. So August 2021 seems to be the latest, huh?
And if Fairbanks doesn't get any movie theaters back, I'm going to be driving 360 miles to Anchorage to watch Candyman.
You might as well just take a little Cessna and fly there.
Well, you can. We have commercial flights also that go to. It takes about an hour to fly there, but then you got to rent a car.
Oh wow!
So, or you can drive for 6 hours.
Yeah, I also found a little interview with Nia DaCosta in a recent Harper's Bazaar magazine. And actually, my wife Sarah, she's the one who gave it to me. She put a little post-it note on it and said, "Hey, here's something about Candyman that you might like." So, yeah, there's an article on Harper's Bazaar. I'm not sure which issue. Let me check that out. It is the December 2020, January 2021 issue. So it's got Vanessa Kirby on the cover. And she talks a little bit about her childhood and what draws her to horror movies and stuff. She talks a little bit about her experience as a kid, having anxiety. And she says, horror, terror, anxiety, I think they're all wrapped in psychological turmoil. It's how we teach each other and our children how to live in the world, what you're going to come across. It's such a fun way to communicate meaning. And then the interviewer says, were you an anxious child? And Nia DaCosta says, I wasn't actually. I'm more anxious now as an adult. The first time I experienced anxiety was at 21. It was my last semester of college, and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do afterward. I said, Mom, I feel like there's a vice over my heart. What's going on? And she said, oh, it's anxiety. But I wasn't an anxious child. I had a lot of energy, and I was always weaving tales and always reading. I loved horror. Oh, she does say something about Godzilla, which we just did a commentary track about. The interviewer asks her, as a person making horror, what do you think it's offering people right now? And DaCosta says, horror has always reflected societal anxiety, like Godzilla coming out of an aftermath of nuclear war. It tells us what we as a society are afraid of, and it's a way to say what's horrifying to me specifically because of my identity, because of the world I live in, because of the life I led. So, yeah, I think this kind of reflects what she also does with Candyman, because of being a person of color and because of the current situation of systemic racism. Candyman, the movie, I'm looking forward to that because I want to see how they tackle that and what sort of questions and answers they bring up. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I think as far as remakes go, this is maybe the most promising. Well, it's not a remake, I guess, right? It's more like a sequel of sorts, like the new Halloween movie is a sequel.
Right. Yeah. Kind of a soft reboot, if you want to use that expression.
Yeah.
Because you can make any sort of story with Candyman, it'll always be like within that same universe. As long as it takes a guy going into a mirror and saying Candyman 5 times in the mirror, then that's the formula for a Candyman sequel.
Well, and they have the actress who was
Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie, that's it.
Played by Vanessa Williams in the first movie, yeah. But yeah, so Anne-Marie was played by Vanessa Williams, and she's the one who's also in this new movie, apparently.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to that one and seeing what they do with it and how it connects to the first movie. It'll be fun. And so this is interesting. And Chris Valesco, the composer for Clive Barker's Jericho, he posted on Twitter some and you found this just recently. That was 2 days ago, right? He posted that he had set up a new studio and he's got the original painting from the cover of the Hellbound Heart, the 20th anniversary edition from Earthling.
Yeah, that great Pinhead painting, that very iconic, very mercurial Pinhead.
Yeah. And do you remember when we interviewed him? Was it, I think, YouTube maybe? We We interviewed him on I think it was the YouTube Google Hangouts or something like that, and
It was, yeah.
yeah, and he walked his iPad up to the painting and to show it to us.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, so this was pretty neat.
Yeah, so looks like he's got a nice little place set up for the painting in his studio, and of course it's a 2007 painting. And it was exhibited originally at the Burt Green Fine Art Gallery in 2009. And it was sold through CliveBarkerArt.com in 2014. So now it's in his collection. And you can go check out Chris Velasco.
What's CliveBarkerArt.com? Is that still around?
I'm not sure. It just redirects to the Clive Barker archive now.
Oh,
So
okay.
it might have been one of those websites from the last Seraphin crew. Yeah, I don't really remember going to this site, but it's just what it says in Revelations.
Oh,
so.
yeah, 2014 would have been around the time of like the real Clive Barker store and stuff too.
Oh, yeah, for
so
sure.
Maybe
so
it
they
might have
had,
redirected to that.
Yeah.
But
Chris Velasco has that, and he says, now I need to get Ashley Lawrence and Chris Young over here and do another photo shoot. Come on, Vaccine.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be neat. We're looking forward to that. And Chris Velasco has become a huge composer in especially in video games. He's done like a lot of really, huge blockbuster titles. He's done the scores for.
Absolutely, yeah. Wasn't he doing God of War and stuff like that?
Yeah, and a lot of more current ones. There was some Star Wars one that he did too, like a Darth Vader. One of those virtual reality games with Darth Vader. I think he did the score for that.
Here it is. Also, his Twitter account is @MonarchAudio. If you want to go and follow him. He did Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series, Episode 3 video game. That's quite a long title. Yeah, it was in 2019, Vader Immortal. So if you play that game, the music that you're hearing in it is made by the same guy who did Clive Barker's Jericho. By the way, I've installed Undying on my new computer again.
Oh, really?
And I've actually been playing it a little bit, and I'm kind of stuck. I'm kind of stuck at a point where you go outside and you go to this camp place thing, and then I'm not sure how to open up this gate that I'm supposed to go through.
Oh.
And I have to find the guide for the Undying game and see if I can figure out what I need to do. But it's been fun. I'm trying to come up with recording that game for YouTube. So yeah, stay tuned on that one. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out.
Yeah, and we still have some footage up on our YouTube channel of you starting that a few years back. Yeah, I that iMac that I bought just for playing Jericho on, I'm going to have to sell it now because I've got no space for it anymore.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Is it a big one or a laptop or what?
No, it's an old CRT iMac, one of the,
like the ones with the plastic casing with colors and stuff?
Yeah.
Those are great.
Yeah, I know. It's really cool. It looked really neat. I had it sitting in the corner of the podcast room back when I had a podcast room.
How much do those go for nowadays?
It was $50 when I bought it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much are you thinking about selling it?
Probably the same. Yeah.
Wow. Well, let's talk about that. Yeah. Let's talk about that after the show.
Yeah.
It must have been a cool experience to play it on that iMac thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It reminded me of the old days playing it because I have the Mac version of that game, so I wanted to play my copy instead of downloading it, and I have an autographed copy, so I'm not going to get rid of it.
Yeah, I think you can download that from GOG.com. I'm not sure if that's where I got it. It's been a long time.
But they only have the files. DOS versions, right? They don't have Mac stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're only DOS. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could get like an emulator for DOS, maybe, and maybe that would work.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So that's pretty much on the news side from the Reef. I mean, unless you've seen some weird thing like a flock of birds falling from the sky.
Yeah.
Or some weird guy pulling like the walls of reality apart with his bare hands from the Reef. Give us a holler and let us know what's popping.
Yeah.
Where you live.
And some discussion we've seen around Facebook. Kjell Arne Jacobson says, "Is there anyone out there willing to have a private screening of the Cabal cut this summer?" So he's kind of gotten everybody stirred up again, talking about the Cabal cut, and of course, whenever that happens, people start getting confused about which one is the Cabal cut and which one is the director's cut,
right?
And the theatrical version, and in Italy, it's called the theatrical cut is called Cabal to further confuse everything. But I thought the idea
and there's the ultimate Cabal cut that was never released, was never a thing.
Right.
It was a project that just petered out.
So people get that one confused with the 2017 Blu-ray release that you and I did an audio commentary for.
Right.
But
my favorite.
But the core of what he was saying was kind of interesting. It's like, that 2017 Blu-ray was not widely released. There were only 1,000 copies. And there are a lot of people out there that can't afford what eBay scalpers are trying to charge for it. And so it would be kind of nice to be able to set up screenings to show, fellow Clive Barker fans. It's an interesting idea. I don't know the legality of that at all, and I'm not suggesting that people break the law or do stuff without permission. But it would be nice for that version to get a little more, the Blu-ray version to get a little more out there and widely seen. So I'm all for that if there's a legal way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're talking about a legal way, probably will never happen, because a legal way would mean that someone would have to actually go talk to Morgan Creek and, theoretically Clive Barker, because you want to do this in an ethical way that is approved by the director of the movie. So that seems very complicated to do.
But you could have your friends over and watch the Blu-ray on a TV.
Yeah, like absolutely. I was just thinking if they're trying to do something like where they can stream the movie to privately, then that's something only you can do. Keep it quiet with your friends and do it. Nobody can control that,
right? And that's
we can't do anything on
really
Occupy
kind
Midian.
of the social distancing way of doing the same thing that that I was just mentioning of watching it on your couch.
Yeah. I mean, we just can't do anything on Occupy Midian because, of course, we can't sanction anything like that. But personally, my version forever of this movie will be the director's cut. And I know that I'm probably saying this, and it's like, yeah, but you have copies of the Cabal cut and all that. And it's like, yes, I do. But honestly, my personal favorite is the director's cut. And as far as the other Cabal cuts go and the ultimate Cabal cuts and whatnots, they're out there. If you want to find them, you can just Google that. You will find a way of getting that. But they just add longer scenes and they add more of the same movie. Right. And I don't know if necessarily making it as long as possible in terms of pacing makes the movie better. That's a question that's subjective, that's debatable. It depends on – there are people out there who are like, I wish there was like a 4-hour, Cabal cut.
Well, that's –
and you know what?
I like the longer versions. But I do have to say that without Danny Elfman's involvement, it stretches the soundtrack to the point of hurting the soundtrack, I believe.
Right.
Yeah. You hear just taking a little rhythm section or like a little section and looping it for too long sometimes.
And then there's sections that have no sound at all, and there's subtitles for that. And it's just jarring.
But the Blu-ray version only had a really minimal amount of VHS footage with no sound. Most of it was film elements.
Right, that's true. And also because they didn't want to use the bits and pieces that didn't have any sound, because they had no way of putting the sound back into that, because those shots were done on set, not recording the sound on set, and then it was dubbed over with the actors and the music would come in and all that stuff and the Foley.
And we heard different things depending on who we talked to, right? Cliff McMillan from Shout Factory said that they had the sound, but nobody had time to go through all that. And but then Mark said that they didn't have the sound, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, some of these scenes and some of these movies from the 80s and the 70s and some of the 90s, they were shot like that where there was no sound. Like, for example, Federico Fellini would just play records during the scenes, and the actors would act out the scene, but they weren't recording the sound because he was just playing records to get the mood going for the scene. And then the actors would come in, and pretty much all of Federico Fellini's movies were done that way. They would dub over the, motor only shot or, shots that they would do. So for a long time, that's how they did the movies in a lot of places. And it seems like most of that footage for Nightbreed might have been done that way, especially because a lot of these voices had sound effects and stuff, and they were probably done in a studio. Like we saw Doug Bradley do his voice for Lylesburg at Russell Charrington's studio because his voice had been dubbed by someone else. So at the post-production stage, Lylesburg was dubbed over. Catherine Chevalier's character was dubbed over. And because they were dubbing, they were putting the voices into the movie, and they decided to go with a different actor. But so what my point that I was trying to make is just that when you're watching a movie like The Ultimate Cabal Cut that's 3 hours long, why do you want a movie that's that long? You're trying to get yourself immersed into the movie, and all of a sudden there's like 2 minutes of the movie where there's absolutely no sound and floating subtitles come on. And it kind of breaks a little bit that feeling. It's just like, it just takes you out of the movie, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this is a wounded movie. It's a movie that's not complete.
But there are elements of the story that help complete the story in a way that they couldn't before, even if it's not perfect.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just a matter of personal preference, completely. Yeah.
Well, and as far as Nightbreed goes, Nightbreed turned 31 in February.
Yes. Yeah. I remember when I did an article about Nightbreed turning 27.
Yeah.
And now here we are 4 years later. And I just want to bring up that you have this great article that also explains all the versions of Nightbreed. And we should probably add that one to the show notes so people can go there and read a little more about what are the different versions that exist. And it might be already a little out of date, especially without the Ultimate Cabal Cut. But I think it would be useful for people to go see Ryan's article on all the versions of Nightbreed explained.
And your article about Nightbreed turning 27, which was
a recap of how we got here.
Yeah, it was a really comprehensive view of Nightbreed.
Yeah, it was a timeline of how Occupy Midian got started and how certain things moved along and how it got released in Blu-ray and won a Saturn Award and all that stuff. So there's a lot of photos and tweets and Instagram posts, from people who are involved in that. So I think it's a cool thing to go check it out if you don't know much about how we got to this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and Aaron White had pointed out, I think it was on Occupy Midian, but he had pointed out that Amazon Prime had 3 versions of Nightbreed, and one of them you had to pay the rental price, and one of them came with your subscription, and I think 2 of them might have both been the director's cut. It's really strange, and I meant to verify this before we started recording, but I didn't get to it.
This one is 2 hours long. Okay, wait, 2 hours long? Then this is the director's cut. Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is the director's cut. Okay, that's great. So now it turns out that the version that comes up simply as Nightbreed on Prime Video is the director's cut. So that's no longer the theatrical. And then the only other thing here is another Prime Video Nightbreed with the original cover with Craig Sheffer, surrounded by the breed. And it says, Prime Video, this video is currently unavailable. And I think this version would have been the theatrical one. So I'm happy that they finally replaced. This one is 1 hour, 41 minutes.
But there's another one that says Nightbreed, the director's cut, and it has the special edition cover of the director's cut.
Yeah, but that's
bluish,
right.
And
but
you can pay the rental price for that.
That one is also 2 hours long.
Or $10.99 to buy. Maybe it's in there just so you can buy it, instead of watching the free version.
Okay, now I understand what he was talking about. Yeah. So I wonder if this one includes extras, because the one that they're showing, or
the Shout Factory release.
Yeah,
I think these both are, but one of them has the double disc cover, and the other one has the limited edition cover.
Right. I mean, I just heard about this as you were telling me, so that's why we're getting a little mixed up here. But I would say if you have Prime, then just click on the free one that's included with your Prime membership. Yeah. It's the same thing that you're going to see with the other one. Yeah. And the other one is probably available for people who do not have Prime.
And if you want to own it, I'd just buy the Blu-ray. Don't.
Yeah, and there's that Director's Cut Blu-ray DVD combo. I think it's the more versatile and popular of the ones.
Yeah. And there were 10,000 copies of the special edition that also came with a Blu-ray of the theatrical cut.
Yeah. Yep. And then there's the VHS
right.
that I have,
and
I bought from Amazon.
I have the Laserdisc version of the VHS. Basically, they took the VHS cover and put little Laserdisc ends on the edges of it.
Watch the Director's Cut. That's my advice. Watch it. And if you can find a version of the Cabal cut and you really are, really want to see it, I think there's plenty of ways to see that on the internet. Just look it up. I mean, I'm not going to give you any links or whatever, but just Google it. It'll show up and you can watch it. But honestly,
that one's not even finished. I mean, I think if you can figure out a way to see the Blu-ray version, to me, that's the perfect version of the Cabal cut. Because, I don't know what the ultimate one would have been, but they didn't finish it. So, it's just stuck out there.
And the Blu-ray has extra content. There's an intro by Clive Barker. Yeah. There's a making of documentary about this, the Tribes of the Moon. So it's a lot of interesting stuff that really makes the movie come together.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, it's my favorite version.
Yeah. That kind of does it for discussion and stuff. Coming next, you just brought this to my attention just this morning that you're working on an article about Teddy Scares. Can you explain what Teddy Scares is?
Well, I honestly only know about Teddy Scares for maybe 2 hours, because I was looking at stuff that Phil and Sarah at Revelations were retweeting, and they retweeted a message from Linda Blair from The Exorcist, which we've made a commentary track for. Yeah. And she had a picture of herself, Mark Hamill, Rick Baker, and Clive Barker. And I was like, I wonder what brought all these people together. And then there was a hashtag that said Teddy Scares. And I looked it up, and it actually is a short CGI animation with these teddy bears. And I think it was also released as a series of teddy bear toys. Clive Barker voiced one of those teddy bears. Rick Baker did another one, Mark Hamill. And Clive Barker's teddy bear was called Edwin. And it's funny because you can hear the teddy bear in the movie and his voice like, this is rubbish. And it's great because it's Clive Barker's voice on a teddy bear, and it's so weird to see that. But the teddy bears look cool. It was from 2006, and apparently I think the short animation was made as kind of a student project from Dave's school.
Oh.
And I think it's available on YouTube. So I haven't had a chance to watch it because I just found this out before we started recording.
That's great.
An hour before we started recording, actually. But as soon as I did that, I looked up some stuff and I was starting to write this article. So I'll put it on the blog.
Yeah, well, that'll be awesome. Something probably most of us didn't know about, I would assume. I mean, we're pretty hardcore Clive Barker fans, and you just found out about it earlier this morning. And
I asked you, did you know about this? And you're like, no. It's like 2006, pretty obscure, but it's like, how did we not know about this? It's crazy.
Yeah,
2006. Huh.
Yeah, so that's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And coming up soon, we're going to be going back into Jericho Squad 77 with episode 2. And we'll finally get to see the whole squad meet up in person if they can survive.
Nice.
Yeah. We've got an interview coming up for our next episode as well. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I think for the next Jericho Squad, we should start with a recap of what happened on the previous episode.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the plan. It's like a month. Yeah, I already wrote it out.
Because I want to boast about the fact that I sliced a bunch of people in half with my ribbon sword.
Yeah. You're a wizard. You're supposed to be like standing back away from everybody and shooting them with spells.
Well, I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. I was rolling very low.
Yeah. You might have had a little help from the DM.
Okay.
There was a point where someone missed you when they actually got a critical hit.
Oh, shucks.
That
would have killed me?
Yes.
I would have had to go into a save roll.
If he did enough damage, you just bypass all that and you're just dead.
Yeah.
But, so then we've got an interview coming up. I think we could, it's close enough we can probably talk about it, right?
Yeah. So, Paul Kane is coming back to the show. Yay!
Yeah. So he'll be talking about the movie Sacrifice, which if you follow him on Facebook, you've probably seen the trailers and stuff for the movie Sacrifice based on his short story, Men of the Cloth. Yeah.
And so we'll be discussing that. That movie has Barbara Crampton, who was in From Beyond, which we also did a commentary track for.
Yeah, and I thought she was great, and it's got a lot of. It looks like it was really filmed in a little Norwegian town, like a little Cape Town, and the setting for it is really neat.
Yeah, I got the feeling that it looks almost like an A24 film, like Midsummer or something like that. I only seen the trailer so far. You've seen the movie, so I'm going to try to watch that movie this weekend, and Paul also sent us some of his new books, so we're really digging into that, and we'll have a lot to talk about when we have him on the show. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that. And we're going to have Paul Kane, and we're also going to be diving into illustrators, Clive Barker Illustrator 1 and 2. Haven't decided yet. I guess once we read number 1, we'll decide if we want to cram both of those into one episode.
Sure.
Or 2 episodes. And we've got A to Z Commentaries, K for Killing Joke, which is, we're going to be talking about Interview with a Vampire, doing an audio commentary for that. And I'll try to stay vertical when we do that one.
What do you mean? You fall asleep when you watch this movie?
No. It's there's 1 or 2 scenes that trigger this.
Oh,
this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feeling like I start to feel sick and like I'm going to pass out. Yeah.
It's very bloody. It's a very bloody film.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can just look away at that point. And, it's funny though. Frank doesn't do that for you, right?
No. It's it's really particular. It's like if somebody's it's hard to explain, but if somebody's having their blood taken out or drawn out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's the gushing.
No. Okay. Yep. That's good.
Okay. Is it triggering you right now?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move away from that. And so what's next after that?
Well, and one thing I did want to talk about, and I didn't write it here on coming next, but we're coming. This is episode 294, so that means we're coming up on our 300th episode, which is kind of a big deal. So something we've been talking about is doing a big old Zoom chat with everybody that we can think of, like past hosts, past guests, listeners. If you want to join us, we're going to set it up as kind of a party where anybody who has the link can join in, and we'll kind of take turns talking to give everybody a turn to talk and talk about Clive Barker, talk about what people are up to now. It'll be neat to like catch up with, if maybe Roger wants to join us or Crystal Rain would be really fun to have back on. And of course, we haven't run this by those people, so yeah. But that's kind of
like hard to plan in terms of the logistics of all these time zones and all these people. But yeah. I'm willing to take the challenge. Yeah.
Well, we'll set it up as an event, and we'll share the event in Clive Barker groups and stuff, and on Messenger to the specific people that we want to invite, but. Any listeners, anybody that wants to join in will also be welcome to join in, and we'll have that out on video and audio.
Yeah, that's going to be cool on Zoom, which is how everybody works these days.
Yeah, right. And we have because of Jericho Squad 77, we have the D&D game. We have a paid Zoom account. So
okay, yeah. So check it out. Go to the episode notes, which are always a good source to find out more about what we were talking throughout this episode. Yeah. And give us a subscription and give us a review on iTunes, and subscribe to us on Spotify or whatever you look at the stuff. And also go check our T-shirt store.
Yeah.
Because we have some really cool designs there. I've been wearing them. When I go out, I've been representing the podcast.
I'm wearing my my Cenobium shirt right now with Nick's.
Right, I wore mine this weekend. I went out to Yellow Springs, Ohio, and I was wearing my Cenobium T-shirt, and I think I look pretty cool with it because it's Nick's. It's the Puritan.
Yeah. My son's friend pointed at it the other day and goes, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain, and you're not old enough to see the movie.
So go check out our T-shirt store. What's that link, Ryan? TeePublic? BarkerCast.
It's teepublic.com/stores/BarkerCast, I believe.
Yeah, and you can also get stickers with the designs from our T-shirts as well, which is cool.
Stickers and mugs and posters and phone cases.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool that TeePublic has all this stuff and supports, independent artists and podcasts like us. That's really cool.
I get excited about them just because I like ordering them. I've probably spent more at the website than anybody has, but we also plan on having Jericho Squad 77 T-shirts, with the character designs on them. And
my God,
I don't know if we want to have one with a group shot or one for each character.
That would be tremendous. Yeah, I'm willing to give it a shot and put all those characters in one with our logo that I made. That would be a cool T-shirt.
Yeah. So I think I'm excited about that. That'll be pretty neat too.
Yeah, that Nulianak was scary, man. That scene. And the guys with a chain in the highway, they were just annoying. But I honestly thought I was done with combat for that episode, but then it's like, no, these guys I just passed them on the road.
Yeah.
Or rather, Musette had passed them on Catalina's character. What's her name?
Yeah, Musette, right.
Passed them on the road. She had passed them on the road. And I was like, ooh, that was setting it up for the sequence when we're driving back. So job well done there, Ryan.
Well, and they were trying to stretch a chain across the road to flip your motorcycle over and
I got that.
Yeah, scavenge your remains.
Yep. That's what you get in the second Dominion, the Zordorex.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this was a fun news episode. We ended up talking up more than we thought we were going to do it. So, enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Wear a mask. And this podcast, having no beginning, will have no end.
Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have subscribed. You can find the Clive Barker Podcast wherever you find audio. Show notes for this episode, as well as news and reviews, can be found at our website at www.clivebarkercast.com. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial podcast and blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans. Watch for our annual Kickstarter fundraisers to get some cool stuff, and you can buy t-shirts on our TeePublic store. Go to teepublic.com and search for BarkerCast.
Thanks for listening.